My name is Tara, as Melton already mentioned, and I joined Toastmasters in 2003. So when I was quite young, almost 20 years ago, and I realized time flies. So in that time, I've made wonderful friends, I've visited a lot of clubs, and I'm really happy to be here with you today. So I would request you, if there are any questions, just to put your hands up, and Melton, if you could just keep a lookout. And if anybody has a question in the chat or something, or if anything that I say is unclear, just let me know. All right. So what are we going to look at? So you will get a handout later, lovely people. You will get a handout later, but what we're going to look at is what is an evaluation? Why is it important? And how perhaps can you give an evaluation? All right. And after that, of course, you can ask me some questions and I would be glad to answer them. So can anybody tell me what is an evaluation? What do you think an evaluation could be? Do you have any idea, any thoughts, what an evaluation could be? And don't feel shy. If you, anybody, if not, I'll carry on because I think you don't know me yet and you might be feeling, I don't want to answer that question. So let's let it go. So evaluation is basically feedback, right? And it is subjective feedback that we give to a speaker. We let them know what they have done well and what they could do better. So as an evaluator, you are also a listener. You are listening. You're trying to understand what is the speaker trying to say? What is their objective? Yeah. What are they doing really well? And what they could even better. So what you're trying to do is you're going to give your subjective feedback to the speaker. You will try to understand what is the objective? What is the kind of speech this person trying to give? Is it an informative speech? Is it a persuasive speech? Is it a motivational speech? Is it an entertaining speech? It could be anything, right? But you're trying to listen and understand. And then there is the objective. What is the key message that the speaker is trying to get across? And then, of course, you're trying to see what is the speaker doing really well, right? And what could the speaker do even better? So now there is something quite important that we need to realize. What is not an evaluation? Okay, I've told you what an evaluation is. What is not an evaluation? And there are two things here. So the first thing is the whitewash evaluation. You come in and you think, oh God, I'm not going to criticize this speaker at all. So you say, you were wonderful, and this was fabulous, and that was great. Your eye contact was fabulous. Your speech was fabulous. You have nothing to improve as a speaker. And that is a whitewash evaluation where everything is positive, positive, positive. And at the end of the day, the speaker is thinking, what was that evaluation about? Oh, I'm superb and I'm fabulous. But what did I do well? Yeah, that you're saying that I'm superb and I'm fabulous. And don't I have any points for improvement, right? So this avoid a whitewash evaluation where everything is perfect, yeah? Because all of us are learning and all of us have something that we can improve, right? The second type of what is not an evaluation is what I call the critical monstrosity. So you come in, your eye contact was bad, your delivery was bad, you spoke too quickly, I couldn't understand a word of everything. So everything is critical, everything is bad, and you have found nothing positive of what the speaker has had to say. So that as well is not a good evaluation. So I would suggest at all costs when you're listening, you have to be a very good listener to be an evaluator. And it is one of the most valuable skills, not only for Toastmasters that you will learn when you later go to work, when you're at university, an evaluation will always help you do well. But remember, It is not a whitewash. It is not everything is perfect in this speech. And it is not a critical monstrosity where everything is negative and bad. The important thing here is an evaluation is constructive here. And you might want to ask me, why do I use the word constructive? And why do we use the word constructive in Toastmasters? It is because we want a speaker to be aware of their strengths, what they're doing well. And we also want them to be aware of what they can do better. And like I say, when we speak words, it is in your tone of voice. It is the way we say it, right? It's not always the words. But if I'm like, oh, your speech was terrible. Yeah, I didn't understand anything from it. But why do you use such bad words? So there you can see the way I'm speaking, the tone of my voice. It is dismissive. It is not encouraging. And that's why I want you to remember to have a think. How do I say the words that I say? Are we all right till now? Is everything clear? Yeah? All right. Thank you, Melton. So let's now look at a word that I find I use a lot in evaluations. And let's notice the difference. Your speech was structured well with points given in chronological order, but I thought the pace at which you delivered wasn't good. Okay, example 1. Let's now look at example 2. I thought your speech was structured very well. You had points 1, 2, and 3, and they flowed beautifully. And I could understand that you're talking about why sustainability is such an important issue. And I think you could make this speech even better if you spoke a little slower and paused after each important point. So in the first one, it is not a bad evaluation, but when we use the word but, it can sound discouraging to the speaker. But when I use the word and, along with my tone of voice, we are encouraging the speaker, because at the end of the day, your evaluation is like a present. It's like a gift that you're giving the speaker that, hey, this is what I love about your speech. These are the things I love about your speech. And why don't you think about these few things that you can do better? All right. I'm rattling through a lot of content. So if I'm going too quickly, let me know. So again, I want you to think about, how can I put my evaluation across? Can I use more ands encourage? And can I leave out the buts if it's possible? Because a but has a discouraging energy about it and you want to avoid it, right? So before I talk to you about how to give an evaluation, I want to talk to you about a few things that we need to remember. So an evaluation is a subjective opinion, right? It is your opinion when you're giving the evaluation. That means if there is a room full of people and you are evaluating, let's say I'm evaluating Melton, and then I say, Melton, we think that your key message, wasn't strong enough. I cannot say that because I am not speaking for the entire audience. I can only say, Melton, I think your key message could be made even stronger, right? So it is a very subjective opinion and it is my opinion. You cannot talk about you cannot know the opinions of all the people in the audience. So you can only talk for yourself. The other thing that happens, participants, in an evaluation is an evaluator comes And he starts summarizing the speech of the speaker. So this person spoke about this, and then they spoke about that, and that's what they want to say. You know what? I don't need to listen to the speech again, right? The speaker has already given the speech. I want to hear the evaluation. So please don't repeat. And a lot of us Toastmasters do it as well. We come on stage and we start talking about the content about, the content of the speech. And you don't need to be, we don't need to listen to that. We've already heard the speech. So when you jump into an evaluation, let us know what has the speaker done well and what could they do better. So, and the other thing is your complete focus as a listener is on the speaker, right? So, and this is a different way of thinking about it, that when you are on stage, you think I am center stage, but have a think about it, and this will help with your nerves as well, that I'm not important here. The speaker is important, and I'm helping them improve. This is something that helped me when I first started out giving evaluation, because I used to get so scared. Oh my God, what will people think of me? What if I don't have sensible things to say? What if, and don't think about that. Just think about the speaker. What did they do well? And once you do that, it helps with the nerves as well. And you stop thinking about, God, do I have something sensible to say or something like that? And it just helps with that. So now, are there any questions still now before we proceed to the how? Are there any hands up or no? So difficult to see on the phone, but I can see everybody's sitting there with their cameras off. I hope you haven't fallen asleep or feeling very hungry. Okay, so let me just continue then. So how can we give a good evaluation? I'm just trying to get my angle right here. So we talk about the good in a speech, and we talk about the things that could be improved. Now, like everything else, evaluation, and even the evaluations that we do here at Toastmasters, is like a mini speech. That means it has an introduction or an opening. It has a body, which is the meat of your speech. It's like the burger where the meat comes in. And then you have the conclusion. All right. So if you imagine in your minds, you have this beautiful meaty burger and you have the two buns. So the opening is the top of the bun, the bread, and the bottom part is the closing, the bottom slice of bread, and in between is the body, which consists of the meat, right? So this consists of what went well and what could be improved. So when you are working on your opening, so you thank the speaker, you thank the Toastmaster of the day, and then you get into your evaluation and you said that today I'm going to highlight some of the things you did well. I'm going to give you some things you want to look out for, right? So this is a very short 1 to 2 line introduction, your opening. And then we come to the middle, the body of the evaluation. And here, usually at Toastmasters, we always start with the positive, right? So we start with the one positive point. What I do, I'll give you my structure. I usually, when I'm listening to the speaker, I make notes. I divide my page in the middle. On the left-hand side, I write a plus. And on the right-hand side, I put a minus. And I keep making notes. Okay, eye contact, good. Why was it good? Pauses, speaking too fast. I make notes on both sides. And just before giving my evaluation, I put numbers on them, right? So 2 positive points, 1 and 2, things to improve, 3 and 4, and then the thing that I like best about the speech becomes point number 5. Am I making sense here? So I divide the page into two. I have on the left-hand side, I have the plus, and on the right-hand side, I have the minus. And as I'm listening to the speaker, I am making notes. And when I finish my notes, I'm just numbering them. Because I start with two positives, at least two positives at the beginning, I have them down as 1 and 2. And then I think about the points for improvement. And then I put that as 3 and 4. And the thing I love best about the speech, I take as number 5, which is again on the plus side. And then I talk about those points. And after that, I come to a conclusion. And then I again say that I enjoyed your speech and, that I encourage the speaker, that I look forward to their next speech. And sometimes, especially when we take part in contests, we try and summarize what are the positives and what are the things for improvement, and then end. Usually, we have a maximum of 3 minutes for this evaluation. All right. So now I've told you I've got my points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So when I say, let's say, what did I like about this speech? Don't just say what you liked. Tell me why you liked it as well. So let's take a very simple example like eye contact. So what is the eye contact? But I also have to say the why. So I'll say, Stefan, I really enjoyed your eye contact because you were looking at each and every member of the audience, and that increased for me the levels of engagement in the room. I felt spoken to as a member of the audience, and it made your message more compelling. So I told the what. I loved Stefan's eye contact. Why did I like it? Because it made me feel more engaged as a member of the audience, and I thought that it made his key message stronger and more compelling. So I've told him the what and the why. Now, if we come to, let's say, a recommendation that I want to give, that there is something to improve, then I talk about the what and the why, and sometimes I will also say the how. Okay, Stefan, I'm going to pick on you again. All right, so I'm going to say, Stefan, I thought your speech was beautifully structured. You talked about sustainability and you explained to us the background, what happened 50 years ago and what is happening now. And the structure was effective in some places because you had examples. And I would encourage you to pause after each of these sections, each of these points, so that the audience has a moment to digest. I, as a member of the audience, have some time to digest the points that you have made. So the what is, the structure is good, but could be improved. Yeah, it is working, but I'm now telling him how he can make it work even better. Or maybe we can talk about voice, that there was such good content in this speech. There were so many important points that you made, and I was busy taking notes. And I would suggest, Stefan, if you could cut the pace, speak a little slowly, because that is a lot of information for me to take in, then I can understand your speech better. I can absorb the points better. Is that making sense? It's like the what, why, and the how, right? What is happening? Why is it effective or not so effective? And how can the speaker improve? And maybe not always you might have a solution for the speaker, but a strong evaluation usually have a strong element of advice on how the speaker can improve. The other thing is, usually we do not comment on the speaker's choice of topic. At Toastmasters, we avoid religion, we avoid politics, we avoid controversial things, and usually people choose suitable topics. But it is not for me as an evaluator to say, Melton, I didn't enjoy the topic of, you're talking about toxic bosses. Is Toastmasters the right platform to talk about toxic work environment? Maybe, maybe not, depending on the audience. But we do not comment on the speaker's choice of topic, all right? What do we comment on? There are two broad areas. We comment on delivery, yeah? Use of voice, use of rhetorical devices, use of props, like I could use something like, I can bring a pen in and I can talk about that. Use of props, use of stage, if somebody's walking around the stage, body language. These are elements of delivery that we can talk about. And of course, the structure. Here, you would need to listen more. What is the key message? What is the speaker's objective? And how is the structure flowing? Is the introduction, has it helped set the stage for me to understand, And point one, is it flowing into point two? Is it flowing into point three? Or is the speaker going straight from point one to point seven? And I'm thinking, oh, what's happening here? I don't get the point, right? And then we come to the conclusion, right? And then, of course, between points, there's a very important thing that I also sometimes miss, is the concept of a transition. A transition is a very important thing in structure. So you are taking me from point one. I don't want you to jump to point seven, but when you take me to point one, gently ease me into point two. Don't just straight away jump. Don't skydive into point two. Just gently lead me into point two, because as you know, I'm sitting in the audience. I am only listening to your words, and you have to give me the time to understand, right? So I'm just going to sum up. That was a lot of material. So I'm just going to sum up what I've told you. What is an evaluation? An evaluation is a piece of constructive feedback that we give the speaker. We try and understand what the speaker is trying to say. What are their objectives? And are there any points that we want the speaker that they can improve on, that they can work on? We don't want an evaluation to be best, perfect, good, because that becomes a whitewash evaluation, and that is completely ineffective. We don't want a monster either, that you say, this is bad, that is terrible, horrible. We don't want that. We want the positive and the negative, right? And evaluation is always constructive, right? And it is in the way you say it. Sometimes we forget, we say words, but how do we say these words? We need to remember that. And remember, the word and is your best friend. That word and can bring magic, right? And the word but is not so friendly in an evaluation. So think, how can I phrase my evaluation more in ands so that I can encourage the speaker and have less of buts so that I don't sound discouraging. An evaluation is your subjective opinion. It is your opinion, and it is not the opinion of the audience. It is what you and only you think. Please don't repeat the content of the speech. Yeah, we have already heard the speaker. Don't waste valuable time repeating the content of the speech. And remember, the speaker, you're giving the gift of your evaluation to the speaker. The speaker is the most important person for you in that room. And when you give an evaluation, remember that it is a mini speech. It has an opening. You introduce the elements of your evaluation in the opening. The body, as we said, is the meaty part of the burger, where we start with the positives, and then we look at points for improvement, and then we come to the conclusion. The structure that I use is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 and 2 are positive points. 3 and 4 are points for improvement. And number 5 is the thing I loved best about the presentation, right? And when I'm giving my evaluation, when something is positive, I am thinking what and why. What is good and why is it good? And when I'm giving a recommendation, I'm also thinking of what is not so good, perhaps. Why was it ineffective? And how can the speaker improve? And this is only my suggestion, my subjective suggestion. At Toastmasters, we generally avoid controversial topics, but we do not comment on the speaker's topic of choice usually. We comment on delivery and we comment on structure. Delivery includes body language. Delivery includes voice. How do I use my voice? Delivery includes using a prop, bringing something to stage. Delivery means how I use the stage area, So those are things I would consider when I'm giving a delivery. And when I'm looking at a structure, I'm thinking, does this speech have the basics? Does it have an opening, a proper body, and a conclusion? Are the points flowing? Do they have a good transition, right? Is there a strong call to action at the end? Not all speeches need a call to action. What do you want the audience to do? That is called a call to action, right? So does the speech have that? What kind of speech is this? Is it an entertaining speech? Is it an inspirational speech? Is it an instructional speech? Is it an informational speech? So speech can be anything. And last but not least, be a listener, be a good listener, because I think we live in an age, we have so many distractions, and the speaker is speaking and you think, what am I going to have for dinner? You will not be able to give a good evaluation. So be present in that moment in time. Listen to the speaker and listen with all your heart. So now I am open to any questions that you might have. I will send you a handout. Unfortunately, I couldn't use the PowerPoint I had created because of the beautiful demise of our internet here, but I will send it across to Meltem as for you, and then you can have that. But I'm open for any questions that you might have. Details, So when you go to the door and you knocked on the door, describe the door to me, this big wooden door, and I knocked and I ran away and the corridor was dark. Just give us a sense of the place, maybe. Things like that. Use even more vivid descriptive language. As for all of you, speak longer. There were technical glitches, but speak longer if you can. Keep your camera on as well and pause between the topics, right? So I said I'm going to give you a structure that might potentially help you with structuring table topics. So it is called PREP, P-R-E-P. P is for point, R is for reason, E is for example, and P is again for point. So let's say the table topics question, let me get my notes, say no to a friend, that's what I got, right? So I would start with P. Saying no to a friend, I think, can be a very challenging thing to do. The reason I'm saying that, and this is the R, the reason I'm saying that in the past, when I said no to my friends, many times I got into trouble. Now let's go into the example. When I was very young, I was this person, I would go knocking on doors and then running away. And then you continue with the story. And once the story ends, that is the E part, you come back to the S. So in conclusion, so I would like to say again, right, saying no is a challenging thing to do, especially when one says no to friends. Does that make sense? Yeah. So P is for the point you're making. R is for the reason you're making that point. E is for example. And again, you end with P. That is the point. You're basically coming back to the beginning again and just making a neat package. You might want to use this for your table topics, and you can easily go to 1 to 2 minutes with it, right? So again, use that P as an introduction, have the E as an example, the reason, mention the reason, have an example, and of course, come back to the point. And other than that, I think you have all done a marvelous job. You're at the start of your journeys, but I'm sure by the end of this program, you are all going to be amazing. And keep working on those stories, keep bringing in details, make those stories come alive. Have a cinema, have a movie in the minds of the audience. How can you paint even more pictures? And that will make for a wonderful, wonderful table topic. Super well done, everyone. Back to you, Melton.